What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going on to day 12 of our free-to-play challenge, where I took a free account, not spending any additional money other than methods that are available to free-to-play players, and try my best to build a competitive deck in a 30-day period. On day 12, we're doing pretty well. We're almost amassing our second batch of 10,000 gold. Throughout this whole challenge, we probably have gathered at least roughly, by the time this video is over with, we'll gain over 20,000 gold in the process of less than 2 weeks. We've gathered, enough gems that we were able to do 3 additional drafts on top of the 10,000 original gold we had. So we probably gained about 2,500 gems, give or take, if not a little bit more. We now have 530 of those. We've also acquired some of our free-to-play packs from entering the codes that, go alongside of a release of a set. So we also gathered a bunch of packs. Our wildcard collection is coming together pretty well. We have 26 common wildcards to use, 25 uncommon, 12 rare, and 5 mythic, with a little bit of vault progress. And in today's video, we're going to be diving into just a couple of games, hopefully just to complete our 2 challenges down here at the bottom, just so that we get that extra 1,000 gold, get ourselves over 10,000 gold, and this will allow us to then dive in to do 2 quick drafts and hopefully wrap up the 15 wins for the day and get that over with. Other thing to note too is today is technically Sunday as I'm filming, so the reset for the weekly experience for the Mastery Pass also has reset, which that will allow us to get additional XP for the Mastery Pass, allowing us to possibly get to additional packs of Baldur's Gate, though Baldur's Gate's not going to help us in our challenge just because we are playing standard and that's an alchemy based set, but those packs will give us wild card currency in the sense that there's a chance of getting wild cards in the packs, as well as when we open the packs we will fill up our wheels of pack openings to allow us to then get additional rare or uncommon wild cards. And like I said, in those packs themselves we also have a chance of getting additional wild cards as well. We're coming along pretty well. In the next day or two, depending on how these quick drafts go, it may be time to make a decision of where we're going to go deck wise. I think having probably 16 to 20 rares, having maybe 8 or so mythics, wild cards will probably be the nice sweet spot to be able to craft pretty much any deck that I really think will be pretty well, and also be able to set myself up for the future, as just there being rotation right around the corner. In September with the new set of Dominaria United, standard goes through a reset period. It does it every year, where it kind of resets standard. It gets rid of the old stuff, everything from D&D Baldur's or D&D Forgotten Realms and back, and then everything from Innistrad, Midnight Hunt, and forward will be the new standard, and anything released next year, essentially, or this fall, will be part of that new standard, and that will kind of shape up the meta and kind of shake it up in general, just in case if you're not sick of things like mono white, decks like that will probably be rotating out. We'll also get rid of some of the cards that are maybe pesky and annoying, like a Goldspan Dragon, things like that, but this will allow other cards to maybe rise to the top when it comes to overall meta. We still have things like Meathook Massacre. We still have things like there's still a lot of cards that I think are still going to be pretty prominent and kind of annoying, but it's definitely a good thing to kind of shake up the meta, and we'll kind of see how the meta evolves over the course of September through October, and hopefully maybe at the end of the month we'll get a little glimpse and preview by them introducing a 2023 standard queue. They've done it in previous years, but there's still no word if they're going to do it this year. They did have the release of Baldur's Gate, so there's maybe maybe on their end, maybe they want people to play some alchemy, but I feel like there's a good majority of people that don't want to play any alchemy, and I feel like they should do a 2023 standard queue. But looking at actually real quick at the bottom, I do actually have another 750 gold quest. I've been quite lucky through my 12 days so far in the challenge of getting these quests to pop up quite often. I think this is probably my 5th or 6th one. I don't really think it's that common, but typically you get 1 daily quest. You can also re-roll the quest to get another chance to get that 750 gold quest. And this one's pretty simple. It's just to cast 30 white or black spells, and then I get 750 gold and 500 mastery XP, which goes pretty well with just helping us level up our mastery pass as quickly as possible. And yeah, so I'm just gonna jump into the couple jumping games, gonna try to get my daily win started, then I'll jump back out real quick and we'll kind of dive into the first draft of Crimson Vow quick draft, and I'll kind of talk through my picks and stuff like that, and maybe help you kind of understand what I'm choosing and why I'm choosing. So that being said, let me just take a minute, get a couple wins, and I'll see you in just a second. All right, and we're back. I only played a couple of games just to kind of see how long it was going to take me to complete my daily quests, and after 3 games, I only actually cast 3 or 6 white spells out of my deck that has green and white in it. And I figured that was going to take a little bit too long. We went 2-1 in our 3 games to jump in. I think I'm just going to jump into Crimson Vow, maybe with the hopes of if we get close enough, maybe we can draft maybe white if it's open in some sort of way, like if it looks like there's some favorable cards that we can play around with. But we're going to dive into the process of playing the quick draft Crimson Vow once I find it here. All right, sweet. We're going to spend the 5,000 gold. I know a lot of people were saying like maybe I should try my best and play a little bit of the Premier draft, but just because it's Baldur's Gate, I don't really want to. So we're looking here at first pack. Overall, it's pretty interesting. There's definitely some good stuff here. Just overall, for the most part, Crimson Vow was actually kind of an interesting set to draft. This is actually the second set I have like physically drafted, since I like returned to MTG. And it's definitely pretty cool. Hiveheart Shaman's an interesting rare. It's something I don't have any copies of, so I mean I could rare draft it just for the sake of rare drafting it. But I can, whenever it attacks, I can search my library for a basic land card that doesn't share a land type with a land I control and put onto the battlefield and shuffle. This is definitely kind of a hard card to draft around, but it's still a 3/5 that is pretty decent. And then for 6 mana, I can create a 1/1 insect and put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the number of basic land types among cards I control. So it could always be that one thing, like I could be like a primarily green deck or primarily like 2 colors and just splash in those other, one-off basics, just so I can search for them and then kind of, utilize it for this ability. So it's definitely something there. Valorous Stance is definitely pretty good. It's a 2-mana instant speed that is removal as well as giving something indestructible. Paksong Pup is definitely good as well. If we can get a wolf or another werewolf, it gets +1/+1 every time at the start of our combat, and when it dies, we gain power equal to its life. Sigarda's Imprisonment is definitely another good common because it enchants target creature. It can't attack or block, and for 5 mana that we can spend, we can actually exile that creature and get a blood token. Other than that, there's some other stuff that's definitely pretty good. They got the Infantry, which is 2/2. That turns into an enchantment for Disturber 4 that gives target creature +2/+2, which is definitely pretty good. But I don't think this is something we would take pick 1. It's probably going to be down to the rare, just because I think the rare is probably the best. It'd probably be the rare. I don't know if it's we want to lean heavily into white. So picking removal for white is not good. So green seems like it's the most logical choice out of the 2 top cards that are here, being the Hiveheart Shaman and the Paksong Pup. This definitely does have higher upside than the Pup, just because, it's definitely one of those things that once we get on turn 4, it can definitely shift the game pretty quickly. So we'll take that card. Plus, it's a rare, so it kind of works in that sense. As for pack 2, definitely pretty interesting here. There's definitely some good cards because we are into green. You have your Apprentice Sharpshooter to 3 mana, 1/4 with Training and Reach. So whenever we attack with something greater power, you'll get a +1/+1 counter on it until it, I guess, caps out to that top power, as well as it has reach, so it can block things in the air, which is always very good. We got Cloak Cadet. It's a 5 mana 2/4 that whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on to other humans we control, we get to draw a card, and it only triggers once. And itself also has Training, so itself also triggers the additional +1/+1 counters in its own effect. We got Resistance Squad, which is 3 mana 3/2, enters the battlefield. If we control another human, we draw a card. We so far are humans with our one other human in our deck. We got Scorpion here, 2 mana 1/1. When it enters the battlefield, another target creature we control fight gains Death Touch on the turn. So giving some Death Touch is always very good because it makes it very awkward if your opponent decides to block. And in itself also has Death Touch. It's a pretty decent blocker. Flame Blast Bolt is definitely decent here. 1 mana, deal 2 damage, and if that creature would die, it gets exiled instead of going to the graveyard. So either as like a little bit of spot damage. Traveling Ministers, also a great white card too, in the sense that it's a 1 mana 1/1 that we can always tap in and pump something else. But I think here it's probably a toss-up between the Resistance Squad and the Cloak Cadet. A part of me wants to go with the Cadet just because I feel like green's good. I'm not sure if I want to definitely go white. I know I need to play some white cards to get my daily challenge. But you know what? Let's take the Resistance Squad. Why don't we just splash green white and kind of see how the cards are going in our favor. Okay, so on pack 3 we have the Wolfkin Outcast, 6 mana 5/4. This spell costs 2 less to cast if we control a wolf or werewolf. We're not really playing werewolves right now, but we only have 2 cards in our deck. And then when it flips over, whenever it or another werewolf we control dies, it actually draw a card. Not a bad uncommon. The Traveling Ministers here again, definitely a good common there. We also have a Massive Might, but yet again, I don't think you take pump spells this early. Pack 3, pick 3, or Pack 1, pick 3 is not really the ideal spot. The equipment's interesting, but I don't think it's something that we definitely want to play. You know, this is definitely something super aggressive because we can sacrifice a forest. If we do, we can give the creature trample, but I don't know if we're going to be super like heavy, like big creatures, and I don't know if we need a card like that immediately. So I probably think it's a toss-up right now between the Traveling Minister, and that's really about it. Maybe the Wolfkin Outcast rotates around back to us, maybe once we get the pack back. But I think we take the Minister just because it's something that kind of we can play on turn 1. Even if we don't attack with anything immediately, we can always just tap it to give ourselves just a 1 life, just that sorcery speed on our turn. So it's definitely not bad there. Okay, so pack number 4, definitely not much in the way of green, not really much in the way of white. There is some blue, which is definitely not that bad. We also have the Infestation Expert, 5 mana, 3/4, that when it enters the battlefield or attacks, we get a 1/1 green insect token, which that's always good because, you know, those insect tokens can just be little, like, chump fodder. So in case our opponent has creatures and they attack, we can always just throw one of the insects, in front of it. And then when it flips over, if it's night already, when it comes to the battlefield, we get 2 insect tokens, or whenever it attacks, we get 2 insect tokens. So I think that's probably already the best card there. The Rural Recruit, the 4 mana 1/1 would train it, and just battlefield we get a green boar creature token. Not really the greatest, but definitely something that could easily, travel around the table and come back to us. The blue cards are definitely pretty interesting. Disturb is always good just because there's extra value. Red's pretty decent. The Epicure is okay because the blood token allows us to dig a little bit deeper. If we can, if we were gonna go like massively into like vampires, we could do like Epicure, Sanguine Statue. The black cards, they're okay. I mean, nothing that great. This one is kind of an interesting card. When it dies, we get a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Definitely not bad, but, it's definitely not anything amazing that I would say you take, this early. The Vile Spawn Spider, if we want to go green-blue, definitely not that bad. It's a 2/3 Reacher. And at the beginning of our upkeep, we mill a card, and we can tap 4, sacrifice it, and create a 1/1 green insect creature token for each card in our graveyard, but we can only activate it as a sorcery. So if we're going very creature heavy, maybe our graveyard fills up, and we can always sacrifice it. But I think we take the Infestation Expert just because it seems like the most logical choice based on the pack. All right, on pack number 5, we have a Sawblade Slinger, 4 mana, 4/3. Definitely not bad. When it enters the battlefield, we destroy target artifact an opponent controls, or it fights a target zombie an opponent controls. Even if neither one of those effects are on the battlefield, 4 mana, 4/3 is not a bad play. Another good card here, the common Spore Crawler. It's a 3/2 for 3 mana that when it dies, we get to draw a card. So definitely not a bad aggressive play where you want to play this and then just swing in with it. Regardless if it gets chump blocked and it dies, we get a card out of it. So not bad there. Apprentice Sharpshooter, yet again, is here. Yet again, if there's anyone playing flyers, is definitely good there. Crashing Canopy, very, very targeted, not very open. So if you get this and your opponent's not playing either of those things, it's not really going to be beneficial. It's just kind of like a dead card. Black is black is here. There's some decent black cards. The Deergraph Scavenger is not bad. It's a Death Toucher, 2/3, that when it enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 target card from graveyard. So, targets things like Disturbed. I'm not sure if there's things with Flashback in this set, but I know it's definitely something that was in the previous set. And if we exile a creature card this way, each opponent loses 2 life and we gain 2 life, so not bad there. So definitely good on Disturbed. But I think we take this Slinger. I think, it's a decent 4 mana, 4/3, which is pretty powerful. It kind of works with what we're trying to do. It's also a human. So right now we're on the human train. Pack number 6 is definitely... it's not really black is looking like we can kind of, draw into it and kind of wait and see what happens. There's not really any white. I don't think the Massive Might is really something I really want to take this early. I'm still, figuring it out. We haven't really committed to white. We only taken 2 decent white cards. Anything that's going to really make a shift to white. Undead Butler's not bad. When it enters the battlefield, we mill 3 cards, and when it dies, we can exile it. When we do, we can return a creature card from our graveyard to our hand. The Blood Fountain, same thing. Enters the battlefield, we get a blood token. Then for 4 mana, we can sacrifice the fountain, and we can turn up to 2 creatures. And it's not a bad turn 1 play. If we think our opponent's going to play a lot of removal, we can get things back that, and kind of annoy them that way. So I'm thinking it's probably between the Butler and the Fountain. And I think I'm going to take the Butler just because I think it has better upside, just because it can also block, which is definitely pretty good compared to the Fountain. Massive Might yet again. There's a lot of Massive Mights going around. The Shield Basher is not bad. 4 mana, 4/2. Whenever it attacks, we may pay 1. If we do, weakens indestructible until end of turn. So definitely a good aggressive attacker. So I think that's the most logical choice here out of everything. Yes, Massive Might is the higher overall rating, but yet again, it's a pump spell, and I just don't think this early, just because I feel like I'm not sure if we're going to be super big creatures, that we need to take a pump spell, as this is something that I feel like will open in other packs in the future. And the blue spells, we're not really going on blue, and then the 2 other spells, the 1 black spell and the 1 red spell, not really. If we're going to go another color, maybe black, but I just don't think we take a Vampire's Kiss, which is target player loses life, you gain 2 life, and we create 2 blood tokens. Doesn't seem super amazing, so I think we take the card that gains indestructible. It's also human, so it works if we decide to stay with the human archetype. All right, so this is now actually where we kind of get an idea. Okay, there's some good stuff here. The Flourishing Hunter is actually really good just because it's a 6 mana 6/6, which already makes it pretty impressive, which makes it a big creature and your opponent has to kind of deal with it. When it enters the battlefield, we gain life equal to the greatest toughness among other creatures we control. And there's some cards we have in our deck that actually have high toughness. You know, like this is a 3/4, so we gain 4 life there. 3/5, we gain 5 life. Shieldbreaker is not really a high toughness, but still we would gain 2 life, 2 life. So we definitely could take like the Hunter. Another interesting card here, not something I would take this early, is the Gulger. It's a 2/5. You know, if we decide to go like a high toughness deck, I think there may be a card in this set that would allow us to attack as if, you know, their toughness was their power, which is not bad. And then it also has the ability that for 1 mana we can tap a creature. But I think we take the Hunter because it's probably the best card in this pack. So that's kind of like our big drop so far. As for everything else here, nothing super impressive. Canopy's not great. The Last Ray Flush is not bad. Maybe we could, you know, pick that just in case maybe we want to splash red instead of black. Maybe we could take that as removal. You know, Hungry Red Werewolf is not bad too. It's a 2 mana 2/2, but if we control another wolf or werewolf, it gets +1/+0 and trample, which is not bad. And I think, you know, we have, you know, one at least card that has Daybound, Nightbound, so at least one thing that could, you know, go alongside of it. But for the most part, we're not really super heavy into werewolves, so who knows if that's actually going to happen or trigger. So I think we take the Last Ray Flush and we just throw it into our sideboard just as a, you know, as a removal that's still here. All right, so we get around to one of our packs that we had earlier. Blue, we're not going to take blue, and it's probably a toss-up between the Apprentice, Sharpshooter, and the Scorpion, but I think we take the Sharpshooter. The Scorpion's also, like I said, a good choice, but I think the Sharpshooter is good here because, 1, it has training, so if we attack with it, it's going to get bigger because it only has 1 power, and then 2, it has reach, so we can definitely block things in the air, which definitely could become beneficial to us just because we don't have a ton of removal, and just being able to clog up the air on top of the ground game is definitely good for what we're trying to do. All right, so we have 3 red cards, and we have 1 green card, which is a Massive Might, which rotate around. And this is probably a position where I would take something like a Massive Might. It's just a little combat trick, nothing super crazy. You probably don't want a bunch of them. The red cards are okay. 3 mana 2/2 with haste. When it enters the battlefield, target creature gains +2/+0 until end of turn, so a little bit aggressive. When it dies, it deals 3 damage to any target. Super expensive though. I don't think we're gonna commit. And then just a combat trick that gives target creature +3/+0 and gains first strike. So I think we take the Massive Might just because it fits our color. We'll take another Last Ray Flush, just throw it in the sideboard, just in case we decide to splash. We'll take the Recruit, just because it's a creature. Canopy's kind of, like I said, very limited in what it can do. And then we'll take Aim for the Head as just a, you know, the card that's left. All right, so in pack number 2, the cards already overall look pretty impressive for what we're trying to do. You know, you get first pick, so we get to see kind of a lot of stuff. So this Sigardan Paladin's definitely pretty good as long as we have as long as we put 1 or more +1/+1 counters on a creature this turn. It has lifelink and trample, so it goes well with the train it. And then for 3 mana, we can give target creature control with a +1/+1 counter, trample, and lifelink as well, which is definitely pretty strong. And there's a few ways we can definitely get that triggered if we can get some more cards with train in. You know, you have something like a Perish Blade Trainee, 2 mana 1/2 with train in. Then when it dies, we get to put its counters on target creature control. So maybe something that could possibly get around the table back to us in case that pops up. As for other than that, we have the Twin Blade Geist. It's a 1 mana 1/1 with double strike, but for Disturb, we can, you know, bring it back on the battlefield for 3 mana, put it on, enchant one of our creatures with the Disturb card, and then it gives that creature double strike, which is definitely not bad. We have the Hook Hand Mariner. It's a 4-mana 4/4 with Daybound, and then if it becomes nighttime, it can't be blocked by creatures powers 2 or less, so it can't be chump blocked once it becomes bigger, which definitely is not bad. And they have to commit a little bit higher toughness creature. Spore Crawlers. Yet again, we already have one, but Spore Crawler is not a bad. Oh, I guess we don't have a Spore Crawler. I guess we didn't pick that one, but definitely not a bad card that we can just attack in aggressively and hopefully get a card draw out of it. And then Wolf Strike is actually the first removal. It gives target creature we control +2/+0 into end of turn, and if it's night, and then if it deals damage to its power to target creature we don't control. So it's not a fight spell, but it's like a deal damage spell, which is not bad. And if we get like kind of like a little bit more aggressive with our bigger creatures, this is definitely not a bad removal spell. So I think we take the removal spell as much as I would. Though I'm also torn. Should I take also the Paladin? I feel like if we take the Paladin, that is committed us to going green-white. And we probably get rid of the Butler. So I feel like maybe the Paladin, because it goes well with our training, and maybe the Wolf Strike just because it's a common, maybe it will come back to us. It's unlikely, but we'll take the Paladin. We'll get rid of the Butler. Let's see what we got going on here. Unfortunately, Splendid Reclamation is not a card that's going to work for us. We're not really sacrificing lands into the graveyard and again in the back. Fleeting Spirit's not bad. We can exile 3 cards from a graveyard. It gains first strike to end turn, or we can discard a card, return it to the battlefield, and zone its control at the beginning of the next end step. So what this is good about is that you can flicker it away. So if your opponent targets it with removal, if they block something that would kill it, and it wouldn't kill it, this wouldn't kill it back. You can flicker it out of the way and then get it back, and then fizzle out whatever happens. We have another the 2-mana 1/1 double striker, and then Heron of Hope is definitely not bad. It's a 4-mana 2/3 with flying, and if we gain life, we gain that much life +1, and then we can give itself lifelink. So it's a 2/3. We can give it lifelink, and then we gain 3 life in the process. So not bad. And then there's just another spore back. Wolf is not bad too, as long as it's our turn. It has +0 and +2, so it has a little bit extra toughness, which isn't too bad. So I think it's probably a toss-up between either the Spirit, because I think the Spirit attacks more aggressively. The Heron of Hope is definitely not a bad pickup, but I think it's the Spirit just because it has a little bit more versatility. This is not that great of a card just because it's a 4-mana aura that as long as it has flash, as long as we control a Spirit. We're not really playing Spirits, we're playing humans, so it's not really going to be beneficial to us there. And then when we cast a spell, tap up to 2 target creatures we don't control, and enchanted creature gets +1/+2. Not the greatest in that terms. Flameblast Bolt, we're not really splashing red. We're not splashing red for this. So I think we're really committed to the green-white, and the rest of the cards aren't really going to be beneficial to us. So I think we take the Spirit just because it's probably one of the best like aggressive 2-drops. Pick 3 of pack number 3. Or pack number 2, I should say. Nothing super amazing right off the bat. Canopies here, Shelter Under the Burrows, interesting card, not great. 3 mana for +1/+3, and we get to draw a card. Artifact creature is not really anything special. It's just when it enters the battlefield, we get a blood token for 3 mana, and it's a 2/2. So I think we take the Trainee just because it's definitely good. It works with our deck. I mean, we have a lot of cards that have higher power, and the idea of putting counters on other things is definitely not that bad. So, and it works well with our Sigurd Paladin. So I think that works there. Let's see. So we can do something like an Adamant Will, 2 mana, 2/2, indestructible and end turn. So like a little bit of a way to get around removal, unless it's exile removal. Infantry, 2 mana, 2/2 with Disturb of 4, and just allows us to pump something. And then down here in the bottom we got Witch's Web, gives target creature +3/+3, gains reach, and untap it for 2 mana. Definitely not bad. This is probably the weakest of it, and this is probably the strongest card. Like I said, we're not going red, unfortunately, so all these red cards are not good. The blue cards really don't help us at all either. So I think the pick is probably the Infantry, just because it does give us more 2-drops to play and allows us to be a little bit more aggressive. Here there's a lot of cards. The Vampire Slayer is interesting. It's a 2 mana 2/2. When it deals damage to a vampire, destroy that creature. It's okay. It's not anything special. It's very pointed at like if your opponent's playing vampires, it's very good, but outside of that, it's not the greatest. Like I said, we're not playing red, so all these cards down here in red aren't going to help us. The Millipede is not a bad card, but you have to have a lot of cards in your graveyard in order for it really to be amazing. Just because it gets a +1/+1 counter for each creature in your card, and then it mills creatures into the graveyard. So if we have no ways of getting those creatures that get milled there into the graveyard back, we kind of almost lose those creatures. But this card can become pretty big pretty quickly, and then your opponent has to kind of deal with it. But I think we take the Wolf just because it's a 2-mana 2/2, but it's a 2-mana 2/4 on our turn, so that's actually not bad. And it just kind of helps us fill up our curve a little bit. We're sitting at, we have 2 1-drops, we have 4 2-drops, 2 3-drops, 5 4-drops, and 1 of the bigger cards. Here I think we take the Flyer Trainer, that 3-mana 2/1 with training and flies, so definitely good. It can get bigger if we have bigger things on the battlefield. The Militia Railier is not bad either. It can't attack alone. Whenever it attacks, we have to untap target creature, so it's like we attack in with like 2 things, we can untap the other creature we're attacking with to leave it back on defense, and this still swings in for 3. So that's not bad, but it's not like amazing. It's just a cool little combat trick. I don't think we need a massive might. We already have 1. I don't really think we're going to be playing just pump spells and cards. So I think it's probably the only other spell that's really playable in here. So I think we take the Griffin Rider. Here we have some interesting cards too. The Toxic Scorpion popped her back around. We see one pop up here. We have the Kindly Ancestor. It's a 3-mana 2/3. And then its disturb ability is that we can give target creature we control lifelink. Which is definitely not bad. So definitely, we can put on something big if this dies earlier in the game, as long as they don't exile it. And the disturb cost is actually less than the actual cost of the card. And still 2/3 is not bad for 3 mana. There's another Minister here. Yet again, still not a bad card. It pumps something else at sorcery speed, and we gain a life in the process. But I think we take the Ancestor just because it has a more upside in the fact that it gives something lifelink as an enchantment on top of it being a 2/3. Here we can take the Pearson Light. It deals, for 1 mana, it deals 2 damage to target attacking or blocking creature, and then we get the Scry one. The Vampire Slayer we kind of already talked about. It's kind of just very pointed towards vampires, and though it's still a 2-mana 2/2, so it's not the worst thing ever. The Bramble Armor is not really that great. It just gives target creature +2/+1, and then if the creature would die, we have to pay 4 mana just to re-equip it to something else. But it does cost only 2 mana initially. Other than that, no, blue card doesn't help us, black card doesn't help us because we're not really going that way. The red card doesn't really help us. So I think we take the Pearson Light just as kind of like either as if we know something's gonna die, but we just need that little bit more to finish it. This card could help us there, and then maybe catch our opponent off guard. And it's only a 1 mana spell, so it's not bad either in that sense. All right, so this pack wrapped around to us. Overall, the pack's okay. Nothing super great. The white card's very, very, very pointed. Either destroy target artifact or enchantment, gain 3 life, but for 2 mana. It's not really something we really want to play. I don't really think there's a ton of artifacts and enchantments that, other than maybe some creatures and maybe a couple enchantments like Disturb enchantments, that's about it. I think the Spore is the way to go just because it's a 3-mana 3/2. So we'll take the Spore. It'll be a first one. Here, there's not really anything that great. So I think we just take one of these just for the collection purposes, and we just throw it in our sideboard. So I'll just take the Sanctify. We'll throw it in the sideboard. We'll take the Canopy, throw it in the sideboard just because it's in our color wheel. We'll take the Witch's Web, throw it in our sideboard. Vampire Slayer. We'll take a Millipede. Why not? We'll throw the Millipede in there. And sure, we'll take a Massive Might because it rotates around. All right, so interesting here. I mean, we're not playing black. Though a Toxrill is definitely a very interesting choice of a card. It's definitely a great card, and it's definitely going to be a card that you'll see a lot of play of probably in post-rotation. It is a 7-mana 7/7. Even if we don't play it, Toxrill is just an overall very good card. We could splash black just to try to play it. I mean, we do have our Scarecrow to maybe search for some black mana to help get us to play it. We do have another Wolf Strike here, but I think you just can't pass up on a mythic, especially a mythic like this strong, because this is essentially a game changer in limited, just because it does so much stuff compared to like other cards that probably people are playing, and this may just be an instant scoop if they have no way of really removing it. So I'm gonna take the Toxrill, and we're just gonna throw it in the deck and see what happens. So Lambbolt Raconteur is an interesting card. 2/4. Whenever we cast a non-creature spell, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. I don't think we're really leaning non-creature spells, so it's definitely interesting that it's suggesting to take that out of everything, though the pack itself is not really that great. I guess maybe we take the Pump spell. That gives something indestructible, just because that's in our color wheel. And we already have one of those, but I think we take the Pump spell. We'll just throw in the sideboard. Nothing really too crazy there. Evolving Wilds wouldn't be too bad if we're deciding to go into Splash and Black. we got another Cloak Canopy. I feel like our 3 and 4 drops are probably sitting decent right now. We have 5 4 drops and 5 3 drops. So I don't know if we want to take another 5 drop right now. I think we take. This is also mana fixing as well, the Weaver of Blossoms, and it has Daybound, Nightbound, so it can tap and produce 1 mana of any color, and then if it's nighttime, it can produce 2 mana of any one color. And it's also a creature, so it can also block. So maybe we take the Weaver of Blossoms over the Evolving Wilds. The Traveling Minister is also really good. But I think if we're going to try to splash Toxel, we need something to fix our mana, and this is the choice between a land fixer or a creature fixer. This is definitely tough. I would say if we weren't playing any sort of black or splash and black for Toxel, I would say we take the Cloak Cadet, no question. But I think because we are going to splash black for the Toxel, we gotta take a mana fixer. It's just a matter of which one. I think they're both good for what we're trying to do. I'm going to take the Evolving Wilds just because it's a land. Harrowing Geist is, here it's a 5 mana 3/3 with flying, and we can exile it from the graveyard and create 2/1/1 spirit creature tokens of flying. We can only activate it if we control an enchantment and only as a sorcery. I mean, it seems good. 5 mana for a 3/3 that produces additional creatures later in the game. If we have the open mana, we just need something to play. Fellstinger is definitely very strong. You can sacrifice something that's not really necessary. We can use its exploit ability. It can deal 2 damage to target creature, or to target player, I should say, and then that player draws 2 cards. And then also a Flourishing Hunter wrap is here too. So my thing is I don't know if I want to go full. I guess we'll take the. Also, the Scavenger's not bad because it eats things in graveyards. So I'm kind of torn here. I think, our top end is pretty decent. I don't want to really clog it up. So a part of me is maybe we just take, a 3-drop, or, we take a 3-drop just because our 3-drops, they're okay, and 3-drops are always good. And this has Death Touch as well, so it makes it a great blocker over maybe something like the Hunter. The Scavenger's not bad either, but I think we take the Fellstinger because of the card draw. Getting a little bit of that tempo card draw is always not bad. Here, we take another one of these 2-drops, which isn't too bad. I don't think the Recruit's any good. What we're trying to do, it's really a toss-up between these two. But I think this becomes, if we attack him with it once with something that's also bigger power, it becomes a 2/3, which is then slightly better than this at all times, and it just has a chance of becoming bigger if it stays out longer. So I think we take the human. Wolf Strike's really good. I think we need a little bit removal, though I would take another Evolving Wilds if I had one, but we'll take the Wolf Strike just for additional removal. I guess I don't have a Wolf Strike, never mind. Here I think we take the Mana Fixer just because if we're going to splash back, we need to make sure we have that mana available, so we'll take that. I guess there's another Evolving Wilds, so we'll take an Evolving Wilds just to hopefully help us fix our mana. Here, nothing really that great, but I may take the Heirloom just in the sense that it's a 3 mana mana rock essentially, and that in the sense that if opponent is trying to go to their graveyard, we can always exile something from the graveyard if we think they're going to try to get it back. And then, like I said, it fixes mana, which is not bad. And the white cards, the white cards here aren't great, so I think we take the Mana Rock. I think we take the Witch's Web. Take the Snarling Wolf just because it's there. Enchant creature. Whenever enchanted creature enters the battlefield, whenever another creature enters the battlefield, this creature gets +1/+1 in a turn. When it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. That doesn't seem that great. So spirit is okay, but we're not really casting tons of enchantments. I guess we take the Bramble Armor and just throw it in the sideboard. Take the Wolf, because that's not a hard choice, and then Mulch is not something we're gonna play. So we're probably gonna be playing 3 colors. We'll see how, the deck recommender is going to do it, but I would say 3 colors is probably our strongest. Though it's still saying Selesnya is our stronger of this, and I think we're going to take the Azban just because I want to play Toxrill, and I think Toxrill's like a card to make a reason why you would want to splash black for the most part, so I will build the middle deck. And it's definitely good. You can definitely, figure things out. Like, we don't need the Millipede because we don't really want to, mill something. Don't need the Recruit. I would say the Trainee's good. I don't need the Massive Mites because I think if we can slam a Toxrill, that will just kind of be a game ender. Okay. So we have two Evolving Wilds. We also have a creature that can tap for mana. I feel like that's 9, 15, 17. It really doesn't like Trainee, but I guess we have if we get rid of the Trainee, we still have 4 2-drops. We're filled up on 3-drops. Our 3s are pretty big here, so I guess that makes sense. All right, let's just get rid of the Trainees like it's saying, though it's supposedly saying I need something else. Oh, a Butler. Butler's not bad. Butler's good to get stuff back if it dies. So this actually looks like a pretty decent deck. I mean, it's really just like green-white with a splash of black, just for the most part for, 3 really good black cards, Undead Butler, Spellslinger, and a Toxrill. Like I said, if we slam Toxrill, I will be so happy. And let's kind of see how we do. So I'm going to dive into some games, and then I can kind of talk about the deck after I finish out the draft. But, now we're moving on to drafts again. I should hopefully get my 500 gold by the time we're done with this, just because I should hopefully play an even balance of green and white spells, just because I feel like the deck's pretty down the middle for both. But like I said, let me just jump into the games. Let me just play them out, and I can tell you like what worked and what didn't work. And then if I make any changes, I'll let you guys know when I make those changes. So I will catch you when I'm done with my draft. All right, and we are back after playing some drafts today. I ended up actually doing 4 drafts, though I actually had a really bad 0-3 draft, but I was still able to manage to earn enough currency by the time doing the 3 other drafts to do a 4th draft on top of that. That got me to 14 wins, and then I just did 1 additional game of Jump In to get where I currently am here in Arena. Now we have 725 gold, 480 gems. Not really a lot of currency now that we're dealing with. We still have 26 commons, 25 uncommons, 12 rares, 5 mythics. We're done with our weekly quests. We're done with our daily quests. We got to level 12 on the battle pass, so we did get additional packs of Baldur's Gate. Now we're sitting at 18 total packs just chilling here, which, that breaks down to at least 3 rare / mythic cards. I think I have 1 more spin and then it gets to a mythic. Oh, actually we'll get 3 rares from this. So that will bring us up to at least 15 rares. And then whatever we get inside, that will actually help us. And I actually going to just go ahead and actually open these packs just because I do think that, tomorrow will be the day that we'll talk about deck building and talk about what deck I'll possibly go with. I'll show you a couple options I'm thinking. And then I'll kind of maybe, talk through each one, the pluses and minuses of each deck. Just kind of talk about like the pros and cons for each one and why, maybe would go one way over the other. But we'll open the 9 packs, just kind of see what we get. We didn't get any rare cards here, but, we still have some good cards here. Thalia is definitely very good if we decide to go like a mono blue. We did get a green land, a couple mythics, which is pretty nice. But other than that, nothing too bad there. And then the 9 packs of Baldur's Gate, which to me, these are kind of like a wash just because I'm not really looking for anything in particular from here. Just some interesting cards. It's weird that Monster Manual has 2 versions, I guess because it's an adventure card and I guess it's showing both sides. I'm not really sure why it's like double up on itself. I know they do that for cards that are also in standard and alchemy, but kind of weird there. Yet again, couple mythics. We got 6 rares or 7 rares, 2 mythics. But not bad, not bad. And now we're up to 34 commons, 32 uncommons, 15 rares, and 5 mythics. So pretty much, that's 60 wild cards that we have to work with to build one singular deck just with those. I do have a couple options that I do think I can just build with just this, plus what I already have in my collection as a whole, what I've opened up from the various packs that, from the free-to-play codes and things like that. Also from the pre-con decks, we do have a very, very decent sized, collection that we have here. And if we just click standard, it's not too bad. We've got a couple key cards. I don't have a bunch of cards that I can build a bunch of decks, but I do have some cards that will work in some decks. And some decks, I have some cards that I'm missing for other decks. But still, nonetheless, it's still overall pretty good haul that we've done in less than 2 weeks, even playing on a free-to-play account. And I would say that talks for a lot of it, just because this is an account I started fresh. We didn't actually have anything to go with, and this is just showing you like what's kind of possible. Though I did get kind of lucky. I didn't realize that when a new set comes out, you get like a whole reset. But if you think about it, that really all that did was just kind of give us like some additional packs on the Mastery Pass. And then it also gave us just 2 additional dailies. So maybe think about this. Maybe just kind of give it, I don't know, maybe like an extra, maybe just give it like possibly like an extra week just because that's 1 additional mastery reset and then a couple of days just of dailies that I got additional. And then I also got kind of lucky with 750 gold quests on top of that. But guys, I think I'm done with doing the jumping grind. I think we're just, like I said, we're diving into a deck. We're going to talk about deck construction, the various decks, and we'll kind of break down each one of those decks. And I'll kind of talk about which deck I end up going with, and then we'll play the deck out and see how it does. And then from there, I mean, my ideas that I think I'm going to go with, I'll probably play some ranked games with the deck, see how it does overall against the meta. Probably one of the decks I'm choosing will be meta viable, so I could play it in ranked ladder. So if you decide to choose the same deck, it'll be ranked viable in that sense. And then I also think I'm going to, start using my extra currency that I'm earning, and I'm actually going to try a new standard event just because there is some decent rewards here. And I do have enough entry, so maybe we can take our deck for a spin through the standard ladder, and it will just kind of help me and get some additional packs and some additional currency. It's not a bunch, but it's definitely kind of cool, kind of see how it does in a best of 1 event if the deck is viable enough to play in a standard event and possibly get to 7 wins, or at least enough that I break even where I can pay for another entry with that currency. And then maybe from there we'll save up another 10,000 gold, maybe do a Baldur's Gate draft. I think there is a midweek Magic event that is happening on Wednesday. So a couple days from the actual time of recording, but you'll see it after it actually happened. And that's like a Phantom draft for Baldur's Gate, so I'll probably dive into that because that will award some currency and a free cosmetic, which is definitely kind of nice since we aren't spending any of our currency on cosmetics. But yeah, I mean, 2 weeks in, making phenomenal progress. Like I said, this is definitely something that is very possible for any player. I will say you probably don't have to, get the 15 wins every day. The weekly, that doesn't reset daily. But I would say if you get at least 5 daily wins, you get the 15 wins over the course of the week. You'll definitely get there. You'll definitely maybe just be a couple days behind overall in progress. I mean, at the end of the day, the only thing you're really missing out on is just like maybe a couple hundred gold tops. It's like 200 gold tops because like I think it's only 50 gold per, and then you miss out on a couple ICRs, which are have a chance of being something good or something that you don't really need. So nothing really too crazy. But guys, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. What your thoughts are. Have you been playing, kind of doing your free to play challenge in the same sense? Are you making good progress? Let me know in the comments below. Is there an idea of a deck you're looking to play? I'd like to hear that. If you like the video, hit that like button. It definitely helps out a lot. Helps the algorithm and things like that. And if you're new here, you want to know when I post new videos on the channel like this one, hit that subscribe button. Until next time, I'll see you in the next video. Just want to give a special shout out to the channel members here on my YouTube channel. You can also become a channel member yourself down below the video, hitting that join button. It definitely helps out a lot, and I just appreciate you guys for your support.